Hi, everyone. This is
Hi.
this is Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown. I have a, a huge treat for you. Um, you all know, okay, for those who don't know, my name is Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown, and I'm the founder of the Restful Sleep Place and Restful Sleep MD. And I bring in experts all over the world to come on this platform because of the mission that I have, which is to help individuals, including children and their families, change their relationship with sleep so they can thrive and reach their fullest potential. Today, I'm reaching right into my neighborhood and bringing you a phenomenal teen expert. And I am just so excited to have Dr. Maria here today. We're going to be talking about a very important topic. Before we got online, I'm right in the middle of it with teenagers. And so we're going to be talking about teen mental health and sleep and really about getting on the same page with our teens because we do want them to thrive, but sometimes we tend to butt heads. So really thrilled to have you here, Dr. Maria. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you so much, Dr. Afolabi. Thank you for having me. I love your page. I love that you're focusing on sleep and educating the public because it's something that seems so simple or easy and is the hardest thing. And actually, the most important thing. I really, um, as I introduce myself, I'm a pediatrician, but I focus on adolescent health. So right now I work on a fully focused adolescent clinic and LVHN, and we only see teens that are coming to us with some kind of problem, and they're referred by their pediatricians. So usually, they're most 80% of what we see is mental health. And one of the things I say is we talk about sleep, we ask all the questions, and if that's a problem on top of everything that's going on, we want to focus on sleep first. We want to make sure that we're improving sleep, and we might do this with one intervention or many small interventions, but it's definitely the focus of everything that we're doing for the patient. And I know a lot of parents struggle with this, so I think we can talk about this for years, but we want to give small tips today to kind of help parents navigate this difficult world of sleep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's even delve into that a little bit. Maybe we could start with why is it such a thing? Why is it such that even in your practice, when you're seeing adolescents, one of the main things you're addressing is sleeping them? Why is that so important, especially during this age, of those, 12 to about 19 years?
Yes, it's so important because it's not only one of the symptoms that we screen for when we're looking for mental health conditions. So, in all of our screening tools like the PHQ-9, the GAT, anything, we're looking for sleep habits or if sleep's being affected. So, sleep deprivation or sleep or insomnia can be a symptom of a mental health disorder. So, sometimes it can come before and then you develop a mental health condition, or you're developing depression, you're developing something, anxiety, and then your sleep is affected. So we can hash out what came first, but what is important is if we improve sleep, we will be able to improve these mental health conditions more rapidly, including mental health conditions that can start in childhood. For example, with ADHD. If they come to me for a second opinion on ADHD or they're newly diagnosed ADHD, we want to check out what the sleep is doing. And sometimes only by treating the sleep, we can improve the ADHD because your brain needs that rest. With teenagers, they still need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night, and if they're not getting that, or the sleep is interrupted, or they're having devices that are affecting the quality of that sleep, the quality of their day, and how they feel during the day, how they perform in the activities that they're doing, are they able to focus, are they able to interact, all of that is going to be affected. So the first thing and the most important thing that we want to improve and sustain is the hours and the quality and the duration of sleep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just from my own curiosity, especially since you're seeing these kids, that's the majority of what your practice includes. What kind of issues do teens tend to present with? What kind of sleep problems do they tend to present with?
Okay, so yeah, the most common one is difficulty falling asleep.
Mm,
They tend to have later times where they're feeling tired. They
Mhm.
sometimes get activated at night. And one of the things that's affecting that is devices. So if they're
Yeah.
exposed to device and they're on social media and they're scrolling through, you know how that, kind of like wakes up the brain and
Yeah.
activates them. And then even though if they've been on a screen before going to sleep, either whatever they were exposed to is causing thoughts, is causing anxiety, or
Mhm.
just the effects of the blue light activation that we know that, even for adults is a problem. But for
Yeah.
teens, even more so, because their brain is growing, their brain is learning every day, their brain is exhausted, and it gets this reactivation, and then it's really hard for them to fall asleep. So one of the things we talk about is the environment. The environment is really important, and kind of like controlling some of these external factors such as devices. The
Mhm.
other thing that they come to me with is frequent wake ups. So they're falling asleep fine sometimes, and then they're waking up at night. And then what are they doing when they wake up? How long does it take them to go back to sleep? How many times are they waking up? And do they feel rested during the day? Those
Mhm.
are the things that we see most commonly.
Okay. And what do you tend to see that's a result of this? So poor sleep. And I know this is, and I really want us to get into some of the motivational interviewing and how parents can get on the same page or get their teens on the same page. Everybody can be on the same page around how to move forward. But what do you tend to notice as a consequence of them not getting enough sleep, either because they have no hard time falling asleep or staying asleep?
Yes. So one of the main consequences would be just feeling low energy, like they don't feel like their usual self and they're feeling low energy. And that causes stress because they need to be on their top of their game. Maybe they have activities that they enjoy or that they're competing for. Maybe, obviously they all have to go to school and pay attention in classes. Sometimes they're not able to perform in like how they're used to. Their outcomes are poor, or they are not able to focus. I see a lot of difficulty focusing, and a lot of parents coming like, maybe my child has ADHD. What's going on? They never had this before, and it's certainly maybe just sleep deprivation. So we have to hash down. When we're seeing things during the day where they're not acting themselves, they're feeling tired and they just want to sleep naps. They're retreating to their room because they don't even feel like interacting. They're stopping doing activities that they used to like, and they don't feel their same energy. Those are red flags that sleep's getting affected.
Mhm. 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 Now,
The other one
most
would be
yeah.
the waking up in the morning to go to school.
Mm,
That's a good
yeah,
one.
yeah. And usually, it's funny. One of the things I talk about is it's like our kids are in the perfect storm for sleep issues, right? Because like you said, they're activated naturally in the evening because they have a delay in their circadian rhythm. And then a lot of them have they're all prone to anxiety and things like that. And then you have all the societal pressures, the social media, the keeping up with all their colleagues, the notifications. So there's so much that's stacked up against them. That's both a combination of, physiology, which is just that natural inclination for a later bedtime, but also behavioral, but also social, right? We have to get up early to catch the bus for school because of early school start time. So there's so many things that's affecting their sleep. And I definitely see the work that you're doing as so valuable to helping them understand and helping families understand. Because one of the things that I run into is parents are just dragging their teenager, tired and sleepy teenager, and they're like, tell him to take his phone away, tell him
Mhm.
to put his phone, and they're just constantly butting heads. And so, walk us through maybe what are some of the strategies, because most times us telling the teen they need sleep, like, you need to sleep, you need to put your device away, like they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever,
Yeah.
right? But how do we actually get them to engage in a way that they can start to make those choices by themselves, those the right and the healthy choices?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that is glad you mentioned it because it's really important. We can give solutions to the parents,
Yeah.
for days.
Yeah.
And if the teen's not gonna do it, they're gonna find ways of like finding that device or looking at a computer that's in the room for homework. They'll start looking at that. They had some other iPad under the covers, and then when you go to sleep, they'll pull it out. I've had teens that have sneaked into their parents' room and grabbed parents' phone and they get the password. So you can't live in that constant vigilance, right?
Mhm.
You gotta get their buy-in.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, motivational interviewing is a technique that we use. So that's why I use in the office but kind of like how to transfer that to the parents so they can use it at home. So
Mm,
basically, we want to help the teens really find their own motivation for making those positive changes towards sleep. So there's some questions we can ask, and what we do is like we don't impose rules for teens. We get their input on what would work for them. So first we want to assess what their current habits are. So what are we, what is it that we're struggling with, like, and see, like, can you walk me through your typical evening routine? What do you think helps your sleep? What do you think hinders it? The teen is going to be the expert on themselves. So sometimes we as parents want to impose things like, this is what I think would work, this worked for me. You have to like shut down all devices, and they hone in on the devices, for example, which obviously we know it's a problem. But then the teen starts feeling defensive right away. Oh, this is all about taking away the devices, it's a punishment, and they're gonna put the walls up. So
mm-hmm,
it's more getting their buy-in first is asking, what do you think, what works for you, and
mm,
what is currently happening, and asking them, how do you feel about your current sleep schedule? More often than not, they know, and they're like, yeah, I know it's bad, I need to improve it. And then you got them, because they're saying, I know I need to improve it. Okay, so you can say, what are any parts of that would you like to change? So getting, because maybe we're trying to change the time to fall asleep, and what they want to change is, I don't want to be waking up at night. Once I fall asleep, I want to stay asleep.
mm,
So we want to know what parts of that they want to change, and then what parts of that they're willing to change.
mm,
So that's how you start, just with the questions about curiosity about what's going on for them, because sometimes we think, oh, they don't care, we just have to impose this and we're going to get really strict, or whatever. But if they have some things that they want to change, we can start there,
mm,
and that's gonna be like the low hanging fruit. And then
mm,
from that, exploring the importance and benefits with them. So asking them, how do you feel when you get a good night's sleep versus when you don't? And then they can actually, if they try to answer that question, they'll realize, yeah, the days that I don't sleep, it's kind of rough, because they can compare, for example, for the weekends, they do go to sleep later, but they're getting their hours. How do you
mm,
feel those days? Do you feel better? And then tapping into things that are important to them. So what are some things that you enjoy doing that might improve if you sleep better? So either asking, when you don't sleep, what is this affecting? And then the motivator to change would be, what are some things that it is affecting that you already shared with me, or just kind of like verbalizing those that they already shared, and saying, how could they improve if you slept better?
mm,
Obviously, if they're struggling with school and attention, that's also a low hanging fruit. We know that if our brain gets rest, we're going to be better learners. We ask them if they're falling asleep in school, if they're taking naps during the day. And then the next step would be to identify barriers and solutions. So what are some barriers, challenges that you are facing when trying to sleep at a regular time?
mm,
So kind of asking them, what are they experiencing, what is difficult for them. And maybe there's like some other things. I've had teens that are like, no, there's this noise in my, that's coming from downstairs, and it's like my brother, and that's something that we can modify in the environment. So oh, there's a curtain that, there's this light coming in, and they never said anything, because they're not even focusing on finding solutions for those things. They're
mm,
just, prompted, and then they find something to do with their time when they stay awake. There's always going to find something.
mm, mm.
So those are some initial questions that parents can ask their teens that, are useful. And then kind of exploring, their goals, their values, enhancing their confidence. Like when
Mm,
they feel like they can't do it, like it's so hard. So we can ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you can make these changes? Once you come up with the changes, and the changes that we're planning should come from them. So it should be things that work for them, and we can list some things, and then choose what they want, so having them participate and choose and interact. And parents might find this hard, but it's kind of like the best way of really them looking inside and finding their own motivation for change.
mm. I love everything about this. I love everything about this framework. I think it is so powerful and is empowering for both the parent as well as the teen.
Mm,
Because one of the things you said is everything ends up revolving around the device. And so the teen, once you start to talk about sleep, that's the first thing they say. Like, oh my goodness, you're taking my device away. Oh my goodness, you're taking my device away. So when we lean in to ask what's going on, just from their end, it is such a powerful change in narrative where they're like, okay, it doesn't look like it's because it's not just about the device. I think that's the thing. Even if you decide you're going to lock the devices up somewhere in a lockbox where they don't have access to the code, they might still not be able to sleep. And there are many reasons, like we talked about. It might be the light, it might be an environmental factor. It might be that they have anxiety and their minds and their brains are busy. It might be that, they have restless leg syndrome or delayed sleep phase where they just have really, really shifted. And no matter what happens, they won't be able to sleep. So leaning in to even find out what is going on, what is the root cause of their sleep issues, rather than just assuming that it's because they want to just be on TikTok all night long. I mean, a lot of them want to be on TikTok all night long.
Do, but as
Yeah.
you said, something else is going on,
Yeah.
and they gravitate towards that.
Yes.
So they might be the ones coming up with
Mm.
a solution where they say, well, when I feel restless or when I feel anxious,
Hmm.
I don't know what to do, and then my device is there and I grab it, and
Yeah.
then you're curious, like, oh, so what could we do to solve that, like the second part of that? And they were
Hmm.
like, oh, maybe if the device wasn't there, I wouldn't gravitate towards that and I could do
Yeah.
something. Then you can find a solution for the anxiety, like maybe
Mm.
they need some medication, maybe they need to do some mindfulness.
Mm.
They can do some techniques with these apps that I recommend often for them to calm down and go
Hmm.
through this mindful meditation or some relaxing music. You give them the coping skills, but they might say, and if the device is not there, maybe I won't
Right.
gravitate, and they will offer that solution. So then it won't be like a punishment. It would be they came up with it, and it really feels like a team approach, like we're partnering with them, like you as
Hmm.
parents are partnering with your child to help them, because you know that they will feel better doing the activities, playing soccer, doing baseball, performing in their theater, everything. Like, maybe they're missing stuff because they're napping it all afternoon, and then also their mood will improve dramatically.
Yeah. 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 So many things, right now, I'm just going to run down from what I got. Number one, I would say is leaning in with curiosity and asking open-ended questions. Do you not
Okay.
know sleep is good for you? No, no, that's not going to work, right? It's more of what's going on. And also, like you said, the second piece is connecting with what matters to them. So is it sports? Some kids couldn't care less about their grades, maybe because they're so exhausted, right? And so maybe they just they're more interested in even the video games, like point accuracy, reflex responses, all that stuff gets better when they get good sleep. So finding what they really are passionate about, and then connecting that with what happens when they have good days of sleep. And don't have this conversation right before bedtime because they're already defensive. Fine, take them out. I don't know, it's summer, my kids love burritos, water rice or something. And so have those conversations. And then I love what you said about then helping them identify the barriers. You are not the one that's going to identify it, because if you may come up with your list of things that you feel is getting in their way of sleep, which may be directly opposite from what they are saying. They may be saying, yeah, my mind won't shut down, just like you said, and so I use the phone as a coping mechanism.
Hmm.
Or I have light, I have noise, I'm uncomfortable, whatever it is. And so that's really important. Really finding out what the barriers, and then helping them to, or leading them and coaching them to come up with the solutions that they think would work. Because your thought of, we're just gonna shut everything down and turn off the Wi-Fi, you're actually maybe taking away the only thing they know that helps them calm down, which is their phone, which is, and we might miss an opportunity right there. So I think it's really having this meaningful conversations with them and helping them to come up with those solutions, and almost like a buffet, so that they can pick. And they may end up being the ones that would say, yeah, you're right, I think that phone is the culprit. And
Hmm.
and I could tell you that's definitely something that I've heard many times. And at the end of the day, I think when in my own practice as well, that's actually sometimes we leave the phones and we now use it for something else. So sometimes, like you said, they may want to listen to a podcast. So everything else is turned off except the access to the podcast, or they like to listen to ASMR, those crunchy things. I don't know what's with.
You
And
fall
so
asleep with that one? That's
like
impressive.
yeah, and so it's a win-win at the end of the day, so it doesn't feel punitive,
Yeah,
and we're actually able to effectively get to the bottom of what's really going on.
yeah.
So really, really, really powerful, powerful, powerful. And in terms of your, just with your experience, how do you then see this really evolving, especially with the teams you work with?
So once you come up with your answer to all these questions and you have like a list of things that they think they could change, then you can kind of hone it in and just give them the power, give them the control also. So you can say, so what is one change that you can make this week
Mm,
to improve your sleep? So keep it short, like what are we doing this week? And we do it for 1 week. Sometimes their sleep is so turned around that we have to do like a sleep reset, and you probably do that in your practice all the time, and
mhm,
then not allow them naps. Like come up with a plan, like let's not eat sleep nap and do this at night so we can reset the sleep schedule. But one change that they can choose at the beginning, that is a small thing that we can make for a week, and then doing that and see how it goes, and then seeing, okay, did this work? Okay, yeah, it worked a little bit for this, and next week you can add something else,
mm,
and then asking, how can I support you in making these changes to your sleep habits? So offering that help, but putting it on them. How can I help you? Having them tell us how we can help you, instead of being like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and getting all over it like we do with the little ones. These are teens, so we gotta give them some autonomy and ask them, how can I best help you? How can I best support you? No, mom, I want to do it on my own. I got it. So then we can check on them later. It's like, how did it work? Did you do it right by yourself, or do you need more support? So always offering that support, but not imposing that support. I think that's the best part. And then always consulting with the professional, like
mm,
someone like you, someone like me, can help parents hash out, because we will have that time alone with the patient, and we will go through all the detailed questions. If they need a sleep study, they can probably get that. If there's anything with the quality or anything in your health, in your physical health, that's affecting it, that through the questions we can find out. It will be more thorough. So then, always trying to quickly consult with a health professional. That way we can get things done right. But usually, it's great when people have already come and they like, oh, we tried this, we tried that. So then now already we know they've been doing some things, and we know what worked and what didn't work. And then we can even help better at that point.
yeah, no, I love that. I love the fact that you can leave and start with these tools, but always knowing that if things don't work out, then reaching out for help, I think, is so important. And also I think it's also important sometimes the teens, like I was saying, like there may be things that the parents has been trying to teach the teens, but hearing it from a professional kind of rings completely different. And
Mhm.
so really partnering with your child's pediatrician or whoever, or sleep specialist, whatever, and so everyone can be on the same page. I think it's really going to set you all up for success.
Absolutely.
This has been beautiful. This has been so good. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Any final thoughts, final words for that parent who's like, listen, I'm just completely beside myself. Like this has been golden, but what takeaways do you want them to have in addition to what we've talked about?
The takeaway is, listen more and talk less. Have
Mm,
that time with your teen, to say, I've noticed that, maybe you feel tired during the day, you're sleeping a little nap. What's going on with your sleep? Like, really asking the question, what's going on, and open ended. And then targeting their interests. So, oh my God, your grades, this is affecting your grades, you're going to fail. They're not interested in that. They're interested in hanging out with their friends. They're interested in having energy. Maybe they want to, be more powerful in their game when they're competing in sports. So focusing on what is interesting to them, even though it's also going to benefit what you want to improve, which is probably the grades, probably the mood. And for example, irritability is a big one. Like if you see that, that's a red flag for all of our mental health disorders and for sleep. So if you have a teen that's irritable, sometimes parents don't even think about sleep, and they think, oh, normal teenage blues, they're just being grumpy, they're in their room. Always ask what's going on. Always show your interest. If they're not telling you, don't be like, oh, they're so ungrateful. They're not opening up to me. I'm not gonna ask anymore. Just keep keep at it. Just be present without being too intense, because they'll feel your support and they want you there.
Yeah.
uh, but always it's important to shift from the childhood methods to the teen methods, which is they're gonna find their own answers, and they have to. That's the only way this is gonna stick, and they're gonna do it. If you impose, they're gonna go around it, so then success is gonna be unlikely.
Thank you. So good. Be present. And even if they don't show that they appreciate your presence, they actually do. So
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
shut down.
It won't show. That's their
Yeah,
job.
they, they don't. They may not. They may not. I mean, you may find those that do, but many times they don't. So this
Yeah.
has been really, really good. Where can people find you, learn more about the work you do?
Yes. Well, I have, I practice in Pennsylvania, Lehigh Valley, but most of my education I'm doing in Pediatrics Mom, which is my Instagram handle. I love when people interact with me through stories or comment on my posts and reels, ask me questions. I really do try to answer those, and that gives me material. Like if you ask me a question in Instagram, it gives me material to kind of like post on that. I'm not going to answer medical questions on Instagram, but I will post a topic related to that, so that gives me an idea of what parents of teens are struggling with. And really, you guys are my target population. I want to educate parents of teens, because I want to improve mental health, preventive strategies, and avoid people a doctor's visit if possible. So if we can put out more information that is useful on Instagram, that's what I want to do.
Awesome, awesome. So definitely we'll have that in the notes, but you guys go give her a follow. Amazing, amazing, and very relatable content. I think that's the thing. Like it's clear that this is your passion and you bring it down to the level where a mom that may feel overwhelmed leaves feeling empowered. So thank you so much for the work you do.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me, and also for the
Yeah.
work.
Absolutely. So you guys heard it all. This has been just such a powerful and just so informational. And I would encourage you to start with one step. Really, as a parent, we've given you the information now. It's not just to consume, but to really step away and say, what can I start to implement? Sorry, you were going to say
No,
something?
yeah, one thing. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, try
yeah,
one,
just one.
one thing
Just
you can change this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now if you are there, you've done all the things, or you're just really at not sure where to start with your teenager, the Restful Sleep Place is open and we are more than happy to help you walk you through this. We come at this in a very holistic, family-based approach to get you sleeping, but also definitely to get your teenager and your younger kids sleeping. So you could schedule an appointment with us. You go to our website, therestfulsleepplace.com. Or you could give us a call, 215-607-8297. Until next time, everyone, I hope you rest well.